Hello, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Ben DeBell with Fortified Data, and we are partnering with the CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Lorraine Waters, who is Chief Data Officer of Solidatus. And, if you can give us a little bit of background about your history and sort of how you became a Chief Data Officer.
Oh, hi, Ben. Very nice to meet you. And yes, happy to. So I recently joined Solidatus. It must be a couple of months ago now, as their Chief Data Officer. And prior to that, I was the Chief Data Officer for Global Compliance at HSBC. And that's actually where I met Solidatus. I implemented the capability for a very successful data sharing program called Data Visa. And Solidatus is a data lineage company, but we had a very specific use case to help us to manage data sharing. And my experience with them was so good with the team, very proactive and collaborative, that I decided to come across to the other side, as it were, and join this very young, innovative tech company. But as my role at HSBC, I was Chief Data Officer for Financial Crime and Regulatory Compliance since about 2015. And prior to that, I was the group's head of data governance globally. So my background is mostly in data. I probably joined data in and around 2006, 2007, and was formerly head of data at RBS and ABN AMRO. So I have a long lineage myself, even though I'm working at a lineage company now.
Correct. Well, yeah, you think about your industry right now, it's very data-driven, and it's only becoming more complex and more important as well. One of the things that is on all of our minds is how has COVID-19 impacted some of the progress of your key data initiatives or strategic roadmaps? And obviously, you could talk about your current organization that you're part of, or maybe some of your past experiences, since it might overlap.
It certainly did overlap, Ben. And really, the pandemic has put a much greater emphasis on digital capabilities and the need for greater data security and accessibility of data. So no matter what location you work from, whether it be the home or from the office. So certainly the pandemic and the new ways of working that has introduced has confirmed that having good data security and accessibility to data is no longer a nice to have; it's an absolute must to have. Also, in terms of people strategy, firms are gravitating towards a much more hybrid working environment that allows people to work from home or from the office, and from the office, which means it's more important than ever to ensure that we're able to access data from anywhere, as distributed teams are going to become much more the norm. And in terms of experience at both my former role at HSBC and here at Solidatus as well, I think it has been difficult to keep some of the big strategic programs on track as we've adjusted to these new ways of working. However, and it's been difficult to hire, actually. It's just taken that little bit longer. So people's plans, people's programs have had to shift, have had to change while we dealt with the here and now of the pandemic. But better accessibility to data and technology has allowed us to do that. And I think we're more or less back on track to where we planned to be before the pandemic struck.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You mentioned, trying to recruit very talented individuals. So as data grows, the pace of finding talent and so forth. And that we're also mapping back in, how can technology potentially solve some of these gaps? Where we needed to be smarter with automation and with data. When you think about transformation, everybody's using the word transformation within their organizations, digital transformation and such. Can you talk about some of what makes today's concepts of digital transformation important for your organization versus maybe what you've undertaken in the past?
Well, they say the only constant is change. And certainly having constant transformation programs means that you're probably doing something wrong if you're going around and around and around transforming. However, digital transformation is different. It really has the potential to change the way an organization works, fundamentally change how an organization works. So it's not just the people, the processes, the technology, it's also the data and how data is managed. I'm seeing a lot more organizations, digital focused organizations, look at managing data differently, managing it in a much more proactive rather than reactive way. So developing that data blueprint to allow them to understand the flow of data through their company. And that is absolutely essential to enable an organization to become digitally competent and capable, and to transform the way that they work. Here at Solidatus, we've developed a concept called lineage first. So instead of the age-old method of identifying critical data elements, testing them for data quality, mapping out the high-level data flows, we're talking about developing data lineage first to prevent data issues rather than detect data issues through your data quality type programs. These remediation programs that we've all seen that, go around, identify the issue, fix the problem, detect it again, fix it again. So it's constant. So we're looking at preventive rather than detective, proactive rather than reactive. And we call that lineage first. And it's gaining momentum in the industry. People are tired of doing things the same way that they've always done and not getting a good outcome. So they're looking at how they can transform the way they manage data. And lineage first, I'm starting to hear it repeated back to me now, which is always a good thing when you're looking to change the way we work.
Yes. Yeah, it reminds me of even some of the other transformations that are happening today with different cloud technologies and or analytical technologies that are being adopted and said ELT. Right. And then it goes back down to how do we change to become more efficient, smarter versus doing that 20-year wheel of data quality, data scrubbing, and you end up with this big, 80% of your time is spent just getting the data prepped so that you could actually potentially analyze it. Right.
Absolutely. And 80% of your funding as well. So yes. By the time you detect the issue, you've got no money left to fix it. So yes. It makes absolute sense to move towards preventive rather than detective. And, we're starting a movement on this, Ben.
Yes, that's right. I'm happy to hear that because that lineage is something you don't hear as much, but it's just as important. You're hearing some of those other concepts. So it's great you guys are getting traction around that.
And to be honest, I think one of the reasons why lineage, it's just perceived as being too difficult.
Correct.
But, 5-10 years ago, we just did not have the capabilities like Solidatus, which uses semantic knowledge graph technology to enable us to actually build and deliver lineage fast, through auto ingest, auto mapping, strong visualization, strong APIs. And, that's why I'm a convert. And, that's why I am working where I am working now, because we do have this capability. And I want to make sure that people realize that you can do detailed data lineage in a relatively short time span. And it does mean you're future-proofing your organization by having that blueprint of data as it flows through the organization.
Yeah, because before I go and ask the next question is, you think about every user wants to know where this stuff is from. Where did I buy it from per se? Where did I buy that data from? Because then that builds that trust and that value that you're looking at to make that decision.
Absolutely. And that it's all about building trust in the data. And it's not just the customer or the user, it's the regulator as well. So it's very powerful to be able to show the regulator you can map and trace the data all the way from the actual regulation through your policies, through your systems, through your data categories, even your roles and responsibilities and internal governments, all the way to the key risk report or the key business outcome. It's really powerful to be able to show the regulators that.